She said that American soccer fans, most of them aren't smart. They don't know the game. They don't understand.
Gio.
That guy gazpacho.
Important to take a lame gorilla, okay?
Right, did you know that Arsenal died?
He's got me buzzing.
Up the TOFFEEs. It's hard to up them anyway.
I'm not even gonna comment on that.
Welcome back to Footy with the boys. We are back with a massive Premier League preview, as well as a bit of a recap of some big games in the Champions League, and of course, our US men's national team corner, where we'll talk about everybody, but really mostly Christian Pulisic, because holy shit, he is HIM. Him, brother. He is him.
TTGL.
Before we get to that, though, let's talk through the big news, the Champions League. And that is Christian Pulisic, the man up there on the wall. His Milan team beat a 10-man Club Brugge. Club Brugge did equalize it after their red card. Then Tijani Reinders with a brace. But the real headline, Christian Pulisic gets another goal off of a Olympico, one of 4 in Champions League history. Messi will never sing that. But it also does just continue his absurd run of form. Milan finally get a win in the Champions League after being dropped in their first 2. Arsenal, Nick, also getting a big dubs. You can see them 4th there in the Champions League table. They can't get away from 4th place, but they'll take it. It is a 1-0 win over Shakhtar Donetsk with an own goal. The only difference, Trossard missing a penalty in this one, or at least getting it saved, but it was a pretty shit penalty at that, so we're saying he missed it. Aston Villa, when you have Jean Duran off the bench, you're getting a goal. They win their game in the Champions League. Perfect start, 2-0 against Bologna.
He started this game, though. No bench appearance. Put that in the starting lineup.
He's on the bench. He's on the bench, and he's scoring from the bench while he's starting. It's what he does. PSG played against PSV in the battle of the acronyms here. Malik Tillman got the start there, the American. And PSV even went up 1-0. And then Achraf Hakimi with a bouncer, a little bullet past the keeper to make it 1-1 in this one. Impressive result for PSV to get a point here. Juventus in the final minutes against Stuttgart lose 1-0. McKennie got the start in that one. Weah went on. Juventus also did get a red card pretty late, though, by Danilo. And then the crown jewel of the Champions League here, Real Madrid, Borussia Dortmund, a rematch. And Dortmund thought it was a dream. They were up 2-0. They were looking amazing. They had Daniel Malen, the little R9 reincarnation. But no.
Okay.
It is still Real Madrid. And Carlo Ancelotti goes a little. And all of a sudden, it turns on its head. Rudiger, Vinicius with a hat trick. And Lucas Vazquez joining in on the fun, 5-2. I mean, it's just Real Madrid in the Champions League. You cannot win. The more you try and beat them, getting a multi-goal lead, the more they're going to bounce back even harder and just shit on you even further. It is ridiculous how good Real Madrid are, no matter what the start of their games are in the Champions League. And with that being said, Balon d'Or next week, Vinicius getting a hat trick in this one. Mike, is he deserving to take that award home? A lot of people have kind of shit on him because of Copa America and realistically a lot of his performances with Brazil and World Cup qualifiers as well. But man, in Champions League at Real Madrid, he shows up. He's been better than Mbappe so far this season. Deserve it? Or who else gets a shout?
I think he does definitely deserve it if he wins. There's no one who's more clear of a favorite than him, but there are other guys who could definitely be in the mix. Rodri, I feel like, needs a shout. Didn't win the Champions League, but won the Euros and was fantastic through that entire competition where Vinny wasn't. Bellingham gets a shot. Erling Haaland gets a shout. Mbappe gets a shout, but I think it's really between those two guys.
Yeah, I think it's Vinny and Rodri at this point, Nick, because Jude Bellingham still has not scored a goal this season. So
It's Rodri for me. Hands down. I've said it many times. Their most important player, and that City team. I know Real Madrid. Real Madrid feels unbeatable in like a heritage way. Like City are unbeatable in they're just a machine, a finely oiled, tuned, dominant machine in a more competitive league, if we're being honest. So maybe not as top heavy. Who knows? An argument can be made there, but definitely just top to bottom, or at least top to 16th, more competitive. So I would give it to Rodri all day.
We made it.
Good job,
we
everyone.
made the cut.
You made it. You made the cut.
I think Vinny's going to end up getting it. But if you're looking at maybe who would you rather have for a team if you're building one, you might go Rodri because he's proven to be just insanely good, insanely successful as a rock of a team in that spine for both City and Spain, rather than kind of just choosing club form for Vinicius. But I mean, he racked up the trophy, so will not be surprised to see Vinny take that one home. And
Quick shout for Lautaro Martinez. He will definitely not win, but definitely has a claim to it. Best player at the Copa.
Mostly clear.
Serie A Player of the Year. I mean, definitely has the resume. Just Serie A doesn't have the same pedigree, and you need to win the Champions League if you're him.
I mean, yeah, I think he was definitely insane and deserves some type of shout, but him not starting for Argentina, although they won, and although he was an insanely large part of it, large. I mean, you got to start. You got to be a starter. Even if you are putting up numbers, I think that plays a factor into it. If Argentina is...
He is 6th. He is 6 on the odds. So higher than Mbappe and Haaland, actually. Or actually tied with Mbappe and Haaland. So.
Okay.
Well, I think that's about appropriate. He had an insane season. So
who's 4?
I just don't think he's
3 and 4.
Do you want to hear the top 5 really quick?
Let's run through the top 5.
Well, let's try to predict it first. Number 1, obviously.
Vinny.
It is Vinny. Number 2.
Rodri.
Definitely. Number 3.
Bellingham.
It is Jude. 4. This one will shock you.
Salah.
No, it's according to Bet UK though. Just so that you don't flame me in a second.
Phil Foden.
No. Danny Carvajal is 4th.
Wow. Respect.
He did play well for Spain and Real Madrid. Big goal contributions.
25 to 1 odds. 25 to 1 odds. And then 5th is Lamine Yamal before Lautaro, Kylian, and Erling are all tied.
Didn't have
interesting
as crazy of a club season. Too early. In the future, faux show.
Yeah. Maybe once he's 18, 19.
Yeah, how old is he?
17?
17. Fucking 5th? That's nuts.
Yep. Yeah,
he is the real deal for sure.
Yep. Speaking of the real deal, and a winger at Barcelona, Neymarcito. The prince who never became king is back to footy.
Thank God.
And I could not be happier. I am Neymar's, probably not his biggest fan, let's be completely honest, but I am a huge fan of Neymar. Love the way that guy plays. Plays it, jogo bonita. I mean, just a great player. Plays the right way. He is back for Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia. His contract is up soon. Maybe we see MSN make a reunion in MLS.
We could dream.
It's so unfair.
Silence to God's ears. We will see. That would be ridiculous.
That'd be so stupid.
And I absolutely want to see it. If Luis Suarez and Messi are ready with, I don't even know who else is playing wing for them, can actually dominate and set a points record, I need to see.
I do not want to watch MSN versus San Jose Earthquakes, bro. Just put an end to my life.
Let me see MSN versus Greg Berhalter and Chicago Fire. Yes, that is what I need in my life, brother. Speaking of what we need in our life, there's some good matchups this weekend.
Amen.
A massive one, including your Gunners, Nick. Arsenal Liverpool, a matchup of 2 of the 3 title contenders. Arsenal going at Liverpool, who are currently at the top of the table. Certainly a big game. Odegaard and Saliba out. Saka and Timber questionable. A loss would put them 7 points off the pace here, Nick. I already said this is going to be a season-defining stretch, and you said absolutely it is. Is this game versus Liverpool a must-win?
Do we think it's more of a must-win or a can't lose? Because I think I'm labeling it as a must-win.
I think can't lose might be
lose. Dude, I can see both ways, but still, like, I guess being 4 points off after a visit to Anfield isn't the worst, but man, this team is hurting at the moment, and I don't just mean in form. I mean, they're literally hurt. Like, every person is out. Arteta said that Saka is probably more doubtful than questionable. He hasn't trained since the injury, so unlikely to feature this weekend at Anfield. Odegaard obviously still out. Timber out. Calafiori doesn't his like knee or ankle or I don't know something today. It did not look good. It's looking grim. Zinchenko hasn't played in a while, and if he makes his comeback to, guard the left flank against Salah, I just might finish it off myself. I no chance I watch that for 90 minutes. So it's scary season, scary hours for the boys. Halloween's coming up, and that's about the right vibe because I'm not feeling too optimistic. I don't love the starting 11s he's putting out there so far, he being Mikel Arteta. I think Nwaneri needs to be in this starting 11. We're missing all creativity. You could see it over the weekend. You could see it today versus Shakhtar, who, will take the 3 points of the Champions League, especially with our squad, but it wasn't the most convincing win, even though we looked good early. I don't know. It's scary hours right now. I think people like Trossard are being asked to play too big of a role. I think he's like the ideal 12th man, first guy off the bench, spot starts here and there, but when you rely on him too much, I don't love it. Jesus, I think, is past his prime. We've talked about him. I'm a little bit nervous. I haven't been overly convinced by Liverpool, if I'm being honest. I don't really think they've played anyone. They looked good in the preseason. I was very high on them. I predicted Arsenal will win the league and Liverpool finish second. But, they're very hit or miss. That being said, Arsenal at Anfield, they're going to be up for this game. We're going to have to match the intensity. We're going to have to kind of
set the Emirates
really manage the game.
It's home, bro.
I would absolutely love a win. It would be huge. It would cement us. A loss, 7 points off. I don't know. 7 points off is a big mountain to climb, even this early in the season. So, praying for a win here. I think I'd settle for a draw, but hopefully the boys can get it done.
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive game for both sides, especially with them both being title contenders. It's a 6-pointer for both of them here. So
is this a can't lose for Liverpool?
This is a must win for Arsenal. It's at home, Nick. It's not at Anfield.
I'm pretty sure it's at Anfield, isn't it?
It's at the Emirates.
Oh, never mind. I thought it was at Anfield. Well, that does help it quite a bit.
Win.
Yeah. Honestly, when you look at the fixture list, it probably is a must win. So I just don't know if we have the squad right now to get it done. We'll see. I know Diego Yoda's out, but I mean, he's not the most intimidating player.
You got the 12th man.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. You're right. If it's at home, we have to win this game. So 3 points are a must.
Yeah, and Nick,
doesn't matter how you get them.
About Man City has such insane depth, and Rodri going out, and they have all these players on the bench that are absurdly good. Kevin De Bruyne has always had injury issues in the past 2-3 years. Is this maybe kind of pointing out some of the things that Arsenal still has a gap to Man City on? Is that depth piece? And we talked about this summer how they need to bring in more players. And if you do see somebody like an Odegaard out, how gigantic of a piece that is, and there isn't that.
I honestly don't think so. If I'm being honest, I don't think so, because I think losing Saka for us is like the equivalent of them losing Haaland. You don't replace Haaland. Julian Alvarez is no longer there. So I think that's a big impact. And I think there is the Odegaard replacement, but Arteta's not trusting him. I don't think it's a depth issue. I think it's, why aren't you trusting the young guy who in every moment that he has shown on the pitch, he has been incredible. So I honestly think our depth has been great up until this point. Odegaard's been out for a month already, boys, and it's not like the midfield has just crumbled without him. I think it's just, Saliba out, Timber out, Calafiori out. That's 3 of your 4 starting back line. Like that is major issues. There are guys there that can play, but when you're missing 3 of your 4 back line and your 2 best creators, that's even Man City, take out 3 of that 4 back line and their 2 biggest creators, and that is a big deal for them. So I don't think depth is much of an issue. I think, Sterling, Jesus, and Trossard are solid depth options in the attack. I think Nwaneri is ready to take on more minutes. They're just not trusting him. And right now, it just feels like everything's piling on.
Mike, do you feel the same? And do you think depth isn't the issue? Or do you think that is something that, if you were from an outside perspective, obviously you are, that's something that you'd be worried about for Arsenal's title hopes here?
Maybe a bit worried. They have depth, just maybe not the right guys. Like they brought in Sterling, doesn't seem to be a fit at the moment. I mean, maybe he'll progress a little bit throughout the season. Not looking great right now. The biggest one, no backup for Havertz. He's got to be on it. They got rid of Nketiah, Jesus, obviously not cutting it. There are some options. He just has to work it. Nick's exactly right. The midfield's the most concerning thing. When Saka's not in this attack, they're not dynamic enough to create between the 3
Both
of them. So they need a midfielder.
Both Saka and Odegaard.
And when your midfield is Partey, Rice, and Marino, you're not creating shit. I mean, it's lockdown defensive. I get the idea. Really prevent the other teams from creating anything, but then you lose all of that going forward. The attack has to play by themselves, and we've seen what that looks like the last couple of games. I think he needs to take a gamble. I think Nwaneri has to start, and maybe you lose some of the solidity in the midfield you're looking for, but you gain a spark going forward, and that's what they need.
But also, if you have Rice and Marino in that midfield, like that should be defensively solid enough to give Nwaneri a little bit of slack. You know what I mean? Like, and we have professionals on the wing who should be working hard. I forgot Martinelli also isn't at full strength right now. Like it is just, look at that list right there. It's long, and that's not even the whole thing. So
that's a CVS receipt. Sure. God damn. It is. It's not good over there for Arsenal in terms of the medical staff. They are overrun right now. We'll certainly see what will happen in a massive matchup. Arsenal-Liverpool at the Emirates. Mike, an even bigger matchup is happening. Everton-Fulham this weekend. Everton coming on some good form here. We've picked up some points. We've gotten out of what was a tremendously depressing start to the season. We are 4 games unbeaten, and we go up against a Fulham side that has been pretty damn decent this season. I mean, Raul Jimenez has been an absolute demon for both Arsenal, or for Mexico, and for Fulham. Fulham's brought in a lot of the older Arsenal players, like Emile Smith-Rowe. You have a longer standing once away, Reece Nelson, Iwobi even. I mean, it's Arsenal light, as we've said, and they've been performing awfully well. How do you think Everton, on this better run of form, coming back to face maybe a better side than what we were facing last weekend in Ipswich Town, how does Everton stack up against this Fulham side? Because it's going to be, I would say, a pretty good test for this Everton side, where they're going to be.
Pretty good test. We're in great form. Haven't lost in a while, which is great. Big win against Ipswich. Team's looking solid. Deitch has his guys. It's at home. It's huge at Goodison. But it is a big test. Fulham's definitely in some super form. Raul's scary. We have to be on him at all moments because he's shooting from everywhere, getting involved. Continue. In the air, in the box. Have to glue to him. I hope Branthwaite's available. Still not quite sure if he will be. If not, Michael Keane's got to be on the fucking money.
Hey, what the hell happened to Branthwaite?
He picked up like a muscle injury. He came back for 1 game and then I don't know, picked up a knock and has been back out for a couple of weeks. Does suck. He's a young dude. I hope we don't rush him back. Definitely need him for the rest of the season. barring that he doesn't go in January, which he certainly might. But I'm optimistic about this game. Fulham's missing Joachim Anderson, easily their best center back. That's their weakest area on the field. I don't think Calvin Bassey or Diop are particularly good. I think we can expose them. Jedi's obviously a great player, but he gets high up the pitch. That leaves us some space to operate. Need a big game out of McNeil. Need a big game out of Deitch too, but McNeil and Ndiaye are everything in that attack. I fully expect them to have another good game. Need to get some goals. We can capitalize on corners this game. That's something we're really good at on set pieces. Fulham, that's one of their weaker areas. So give me some corners. Give me some shutdown, lockdown defense. Keep the lineup pretty much the same. That's what I'm expecting.
Yeah, I do really worry here about Everton's defense against Fulham's attack because you do have technical player like ESR. You have insane pace in terms of Adama Traore and Jedi Robinson. You have Raul, who's in such amazing form right now. I worry that if Branthwaite isn't available, even if he is, that this team might be a bit overrun, and it's not necessarily that Everton might be in bad positions or skinned and exposed, but just the speed alone, I don't know if Everton will be able to match very well. If they can, I do think that, like you say, Dwight McNeil and Ndiaye have just been the absolute heartbeat of this team in the attack, just creating everything for this team. So it's going to have to be an amazing game for those two players. And if it's not, it's gonna be a rough one for Everton. You need those two players on, and you need the defense to have a good game. If Michael Keane goes back to where he was at the start of the season, it's over. If Ashley Young
need a big game for
39,
Pickford, I think.
it's over. Yeah,
I think Pickford's going to have to make probably 2 or 3 really good saves to win this game.
The thing is, Adama Traore,
2 saves.
He's not the greatest at finishing, so he'll give Pickford his chances to make big saves.
Yeah, but Jimenez is shooting from everywhere, bro.
Yeah, no,
Jimenez is shooting from everywhere. Double him. Let Adama do whatever he's going to do. That is a pace nightmare for Ashley Young, though.
Ashley Young on Adama.
One-on-one. Him and Jedi at the same time. The overlaps there. Ashley Young is cooked.
Yikes. Jack Harrison, lock the fuck in, mate. How about your elders?
As much as we've talked about him and not wanting to see him too much, I think you absolutely need him here. He needs to be sprinting everywhere to help out on this one. He needs to essentially be playing a right back slot on defense because the overlapping that's going to happen with Jedi and Traore against Ashley Young is going to be elder abuse, and I don't want to see it. But Mike, if Everton does win, is that solidly putting relegation talks to bed, at least for the moment, putting them to sleep for at least 5-6 weeks?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself. Those dark days are not too far in the past, but this feels so good. I mean, it's exciting.
God, pause again. What the hell's going on?
You don't know how.
Come on, the way you said that. Put that on Instagram and see if they community note you.
They'll know what I'm saying, dude. I am in love. I can't deny
that shit.
They do love that shit. We're better than all 4 of those teams below us by some margin, unless Crystal Palace wakes up, which they don't look like they're doing anytime soon.
Oh, Ipswich.
Shit. Shitwich, maybe.
We're staying up, baby.
Whoa, fighting words.
Palmer's a diehard fan.
And
his other team's doing pretty good too.
Is even worse. He did make an upgrade.
Dude, I bet.
That is what you can say.
Yeah.
Your new team is 4 times better than your old team, so
how about that shit?
It's not great, but it's something. Boys, let's run through the rest of the Premier League. Why don't we? Because there's some pretty good matchups here, and we start with what has to be the best of the rest, at least in my opinion. Chelsea versus Newcastle. Chelsea did lose to Liverpool. Obviously, that was a big test. See if they could prove themselves. Newcastle, similar. It's going to be another test. If you're truly a step above that level, if you really want to be playing with the big boys, take care of business here against Newcastle, and then we can kind of talk. I think it's an opportunity to gain some respect there for Enzo Maresca and the Blues. West Ham versus Manchester United. I don't know what the fuck to say about this one. Both these teams have been stinky. They need some hefty to start this season. This is going to be a interesting watch, and I don't mean that in a positive way. It will be, I don't know what's going to happen. And then we have Villa Bournemouth. We have Villa that just have a hell of a lot of good players right now in form. Bournemouth coming off of a big win over Arsenal. See if they can play David versus Goliath twice here. Palace versus Tottenham. Boy, it would be awfully Tottenham to lose here to Crystal Palace, who still do not have a single win on the season. And you got to think, for Ollie Glasner, for all the grace he is getting from last season and how well they did, it's going to start running out pretty quickly if we get towards 10 games played in the season and he still doesn't have a single win. I mean, Roy Hodgson, somebody give him a dial. Somebody give him a dial, brother. Give him a dial.
I'm coming back.
In what might be the most lopsided game, Manchester City will face off against Southampton. There's absolutely no way that Manchester City can lose this one. It just will never happen. Absolutely not. Southampton will lose this one. You can write it in pen, marker, whatever you want. You're welcome, everyone. Brighton versus Wolves. Fabian Hertzler, the American from Houston, against Wolves, the bottom of the table team. We'll hope that Brighton can pad their stats, or will Wolves finally get something moving here? They certainly need to. Leicester will face off against Nottingham Forest. Both teams performing slightly different here to start the season, but I don't think talent level, they're super far off from each other, so should be a good matchup. And then Brentford versus Ipswich. Brentford will go up 1-0 extremely early. Will Ipswich Town be able to make the comeback like everybody else in the league has? Who knows? That is the headline to watch there. Nick, what one catches your eye the most? What are you going to be looking out for this weekend?
I guess I'm looking out for this flags curse he was put on Man City. I
don't know what you're talking about.
I am split on like being able to talk myself into this West Ham and Man U game, like being something where we can really learn a lot about either team. But you're right. We're gonna be here on Sunday, and we're just gonna talk about how stinky it was. So I would still definitely say the Chelsea Newcastle one. I am excited to. I think you're right. There's a big opportunity for both. I still have Chelsea as my top 4 favorite for 4th place. But a Newcastle win here, honestly, they've kind of faded into the periphery for me. I have Tottenham ahead of them. I have Villa ahead of them. Chelsea, obviously. And like, honestly, I have them on the same footing as like a Brighton right now, because Brighton's been on fire. So I don't feel too great about them. A win against Chelsea could do a lot for the perception and the confidence over there at the Tinny side. So I think that'll be a good game to watch, and probably the one that most people are tuning into.
Mike, what about you? What are you looking out for this weekend?
Villa Bournemouth. Back in the cherries. We loved them last year. Still love them. Fun team to watch. Bournemouth, a little bit of a conundrum right now. They could lose to anybody. They could beat anybody. I expect Villa to win this game, but Unai is also a dude who can just let matches go kind of out of nowhere, even in the middle of some super hot form. This is going to be a good one to watch.
Yeah. I mean, winning the Champions League, maybe the squad feels a bit stretched.
Maybe
who knows?
Some
Menu
Adams
stick too.
potentially.
Tyler Adams for the win. He's undefeated when he's in the squad against Arsenal. I mean,
This year.
the resume speaks for itself. I think what I'm looking out for here is that Manchester United West Ham game. Important to note here, if you're watching for West Ham, rooting them on, they do not have Mohamed Kudus, who has been the bright star of what has been a pretty dim West Ham side this season. For Manchester United, I'm not sure if there has been a bright star. It's just been relatively dim throughout. So we'll see if somebody can light something there for the Red Devils. The only
Christian
thing
Eriksen.
maybe Yeah, he's got a
Aging-
bright future. I tell
aging
you
star.
Future of Argentina,
what.
Future
Hey,
of
listen.
Argentina, Christian Eriksen.
Alejandro Gaspacho.
Alejandro
Oh yeah,
Gaspacho.
him too.
Yeah, it will be a interesting watch there. I think that's something to keep an eye on the score line at least. Maybe a 1-1 draw, 0-0. You could see anything.
It's gonna be 1-0 or 0-0. All just written all over it.
I say 5-5, or as Mike tried to write in for my lock of the week, 18-17 West Ham. So
Let's go.
it's a guess. If that does hit, you did hear it here first, boys. Let's do the U.S. men's national team corner.
Mexicano.
And as we start every single U.S. men's national team corner for the past, month and a half longer, Christian Pulisic has scored another goal for AC Milan, this time in the Champions League. I mean, this man is absurd. Absurd. He has a goal or an assist in 11 out of his last 13 matches. Those only matches he did not get a goal or assist were Canada in the international break and Leverkusen. I mean, there's just it's just inevitable at this point. Christian Pulisic is in insane form. He is the leader of this Milan squad. He's doing his interviews in Italian. I mean, everything is going for this man right now. Scoring an Olympico means everything's going for you. I mean, he is just absurdly good right now, showing it in his form. Maybe that rest versus Mexico was a good thing because we need to keep this guy healthy. There was a tweet about him, though, today that came out from the U.S. men's national team circle saying that if Christian Pulisic keeps this form up for the entire season, he is worthy of Balon d'Or talks. And that would be massive for U.S. soccer. Boys, if he does keep up this form for the rest of the season, getting a goal and assist in every single game, I think that is a very fair comment. Some people were acting as if it was absolute idiocracy to say that he would be in the conversation or be below. If he kept up this form, there's not many players in Europe at all other than Messi that can average one goal or assist every single game for an entire season. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. But people are going wild on this tweet. I know. But if he's saying if he continues this exact form for the rest of the season, that is true.
If he does this for 6 more months, yeah, he'd be a star.
Fuck yeah.
Exactly.
He'd be the best player in the world. That's a big if, brother.
I know that's a big if. I'm not saying it will happen, but people are going wild over this tweet. If he does do that, it's not a question. He's 100% in that talk, no?
Yeah, if I do it, I'm in the talk too.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I'd slow the roll on that. I think it's so team dependent too. Like if AC Milan's going to play this shit the rest of the year, forget about it. It doesn't matter if he's getting goals and assists like that. Maybe he'll be in the talk, but nowhere near the top. Yeah, man. We still need a breakout performance too. This form is great, but we need a Vinicius
breakout signature
on a comeback UCL game. Give me something like that's true. A signature performance.
Liverpool in the Champions
a performance
League.
where we talk about, do you remember Pulisic in November of 24? Do you remember that game? And we talk about that for years to come. Need me one of those. Need me a few of those. I think he
scored against Inter in the derby for their first win in 7 against Inter.
Yeah. Do it 3 more times.
Okay.
Was that the winning goal? Was that the winning goal?
It was not. No, it was the opener.
I don't think so. Right? He needs like I think Mike's right. He needs like a vintage like a Rodri like in the Champions League, like something big to really put him on this talk. If we're gonna put him on this level of best player in the world, which he's not, but because he does it for 6 more months, he needs a signature moment
form for the entire season. He has done it for a third of the season.
I don't even know if he needs a signature moment. I want a signature moment real bad. That's what I think.
I need a signature moment.
Yeah, I need a signature moment for him. for USA.
In American football talk, it's getting your Heisman moment. Getting that moment
Yeah,
that
there we
everybody
go.
is talking about.
Amen.
So, yeah, I mean,
We're
seriously,
cross-cultural pod.
if Pulisic scoring a goal or an assist every single game, no shit, he's going to be on that talk. Is this a sustainable form? Absolutely not. But if he's still in the same form as he was last season or slightly better, with already double digits assists and goals, I mean, that was already top of Serie A in terms of combined. So, I mean, yeah, he's going to be the best player in Serie A if he continues to be a little bit better than he was last season and has this start of the season. So, Balon d'Or talk, get him on the list. Get him on that 30-man list. And I think that is a massive thing for U.S. soccer. To see an American on the Balon d'Or short list would be absurd to see. Let's talk about our future Balon d'Or winners past Christian Pulisic. He can get the first one. Up next, Malik Tillman, Wes McKinney, Tim Weah. They were all in action in the Champions League today. Tillman starting at the number 8, the pivot role for PSV against PSG, had a pretty decent outing, nothing too crazy, created a couple chances. McKennie also started for Juventus against Stuttgart. He went 55 minutes before being subbed out. Weah came in at 55 minutes in a group of subs as well, and he had a pretty decent showing as well. Then we go from Champions League to Championship, where we do have some goals. Brendan Aronson on his birthday, happy birthday, Brendan Aronson, gets a goal in their game against Watford in a win. And Haji Wright, in some beautiful kits for Coventry City, I will say, got a goal in a draw against QPR. Another person who scores in this game, Dwayne Holmes. If you know, you know. He was a very old shout for U.S. men's national team. He is still playing. He is a deep cut as a U.S. men's national team fan. That is a streets will never forget type name. And Josh Sargent with a pretty good run, dribble, and assist in their game against Preston. Actually, I think Preston was the game that Dwayne Holmes scored in. I don't know where he's playing, to be completely honest, but I do know he scored against one of our American strikers. Yes, he is at Preston. Other news around Europe is our future. Our future is looking bright. Noah Kai Banks makes the bench for Augsburg at just 17 years old. He's a center back, and he is absurdly good on the ball. A lot of dribbling runs and amazing passing. Tim Ream, brother, your watch may be soon ending. He is expected to make his debut very soon for Augsburg. Thank God. We need another center back because right now it is not it. And in terms of our wingers, we've also said it's not it. We have a historic prodigy right now at Dortmund who moved over from the LA Galaxy Academy. Mathis Albert has started with the Dortmund U19s at 15. He is the second youngest player in Borussia Dortmund's history to start for them. He immediately scored a goal, and then he continued to start playing against Real Madrid in the Champions League youth level as the second youngest there. Him and Kevin Sullivan, some of the top prospects in the world right now for that age group. So some prodigies in U.S. soccer hopefully can finally pay off here for the U.S. Also, Cole Campbell at Borussia Dortmund in their UCL squad did not get in as well. But boys, Jamaica onward and upward for the U.S. here. What are your feelings as we get into kind of 2-3 weeks out from this U.S. camp? Players are getting into some form. We're seeing some goals. What do you need to see in these coming weeks before we get into our next international camp? Because I say a lot of hope was probably lost at that Mexico game because that looked awful regardless of how many players were out.
I don't know what we need to see, but I'll tell you what I don't want to see. Just 17 injuries. That's what I don't want to see. So let's keep these boys healthy and let's hope for a strong roster come Jamaica time. Because if they get injured, it's gonna be Jamaican me crazy. Good one.
Yeah. Mike, is it really just down to injuries for the U.S. here for success?
Injuries, sure, and continued form. A lot of these guys playing good club football. continue that, and make the transition to international. Enough of this playing well in the championship and then shit in the bed when you play for the red, white, and blue. So, Josh Sargent, how'd you write? Brendo, looking at you three.
Yeah, I did see the meme of Captain America before and after the, I don't know, whatever it was called. It made him insanely jacked, but it was who's like this for club, and it's the jacked one, and then the super weak one for country. And it was like, wow, I'd say about like 6 people right now with Brendan Aronson, Malik Tillman, Josh Sargent. I mean, it's not good to have a laundry list of players you could put in that one. So hopefully we can find some players that can have both club and international form, like our main man, Christian Pulisic. But boys, let's close out the episode here with our locks of the week. Let's do a recap of what happened last week. Let's see who got points. Oh, nobody, because we didn't do it. But the week before that, we'll update you. Also, 2 out of 3 not getting points. Villa Man U was a draw. Chelsea Forest was a draw. City did beat Fulham, though. I am a genius. I am back into the race, just 1 point behind Mike and Nick. Mike, what are you going to do to stave me off this week? What's your pick?
Well, the only time I've got green this season is when I bet on the Bees, and I'm betting on them again because they're playing Ipswich, and Ipswich is not in relegation zone. So give me Bees 3, Ipswich 1. Same scoreline as the Southampton game. Feeling good. Feeling great.
Wow. He
Brian
is a Brentford merchant against shit teams. I mean, it's shameless. Nick, what are you going with for your game?
I know they burned me last time out, but I think I'm going back to them. I'm going to go Chelsea 3, Newcastle 2, hoping for a lot of goals.
That's a real man's pick. That's a real man's pick. Chelsea Newcastle game as the prediction. I'd love to see a 3-2 there. Good game, Nick. I respect. I've gone with Aston Villa against the Giant Slayers, Bournemouth. And you know what? I went out on a limb and I said Villa's going to win 3-1. I know. An upset pick because Bournemouth just beat Arsenal. They're top of the world. But listen, I live on the edge and I make these crazy decisions. You either ride with me or you don't. There is no spaced out. It is not Bournemouth. It is just Bournemouth.
It's Bournemouth.
We're leaving this. It's Bournemouth now. All
Jason
right.
Bournemouth.
Jason Bournemouth against Villa. I think Villa. Mike, big weekend ahead. Fulham for the Toffees. Liverpool for the Gunners. Close us out.
Barcelona versus Bayern Munich tomorrow in Barcelona. The track record, if you're a Barcelona fan, you know is not very good against the German Giants in recent years, but we have one of their own. We have a certain Hansi Flick at the helm now, and we're in some super good form. This should be a banger matchup, probably the game of the day by some margin. Leipzig and Liverpool as well. Good one to watch. Tune in for the Champions League. Get us to 200 subs. We're at 199 subs on YouTube right now. You could be the one to be number 200.
If you're not subbed, don't be a bitch. Oh, and he'll kiss you.
And Jared will kiss you too. Nick will give you a high five. He's a little sad right now. Nick, what's Arsenal going to do this weekend?
They're going to win. They're going to win this weekend. It's a must-win at home. Get your praying hands together, boys. Let's get some health back on our side, and let's put a brave performance at home. I do not care how it happens. 3 points. That is what I need. Hopefully, we'll be talking about that next time we see you.
Let's see some dice ball from both Arsenal and Everton to get 3 points. Let's go. Mike, cue the chant.
Footy with the boys.
No.
And the fucking ball.